So sorry. Actually, there is one urgent meeting in the afternoon. I had to cancel the afternoon class for section A, and I have requested Professor Piyusa for BRM class, and there is a change. It's already done. I'm through. Okay. Any of you have that Levin's book? No.
So can I share?
Yeah, please share. I asked you, chapter 13, quick. Uh, Other person, Sambita Sarada, also, if you have hard copy, awake, there could be like ANOVA and standard error calculation. Can you start from beginning of chapter 13? Yeah. Put it on. Put it on. Put it on. There is some calculation. Are you at chapter 13? Yeah. Put it on. Put it on. Sorry, dear student friends, give me 1 minute. I am just like troubling Aliva. Jaldi kar, jaldi kar. Put it on. Yes, yes, yes. Page up, page up, page up, page up. So this is one calculation 13.2. One of you please note and you remind me. This is how we have done. This we have already done. Okay. Next, all of you note down 13.2 in a notebook. Write down. Aliva.
Yes, sir.
Write down. Quick, quick, quick. Okay, okay, okay. Hold on, hold on. Page up. Yes. So this next page calculations will have. Okay. Share is there. Stop sharing. Share is there. So what happened to your friends? Very busy. अरे कैसे हो गए थे? नहीं नहीं 39. हाँ तो माइनस करके बता ना कितना होगा. तो फिर ये 38 स्टूडेंट्स को व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप में व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप को अपडेट किया नहीं किया और 80 स्टूडेंट्स है व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप में. अच्छा छोड़ छोड़ दो छोड़ दो. Okay. Now come back. All of you listen to me. I would request you all to ये भास्कर पे क्यों दिखा रहा है? क्या करूं मैं? Okay. Bhaskar, this is more attractive than my face, so that is accurate. Am I audible, Aliva?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All of you recall what we have discussed in semester 1 during discussion of testing of hypothesis. You have to help me recall and tell me two objective questions. Simple question, simple objective answer I want. Okay. Dhyan do, all of you listen to me carefully. The testing of hypothesis itself. Oh, hey, kya? What is that? Why we do and what we do? करते क्या है? वो है क्या है? उसमें क्या करते हैं? क्यों करते हैं? Is it clear? Difficult question. I think I am talking to you all, no?
Sir, we compared the calculated value with tabular value and accept or reject the null hypothesis.
Okay, you started. Any other volunteer?
Sir, we take one assumption as that it is true, then we through by doing the sum we get to know whether the assumption was right or wrong. So,
क्यों क्यों पढ़ते हैं वो टेस्टिंग आप बताइए क्यों
So,
करते हैं?
so basically, from the sample, we try to understand about the population, infer and understand the population.
sir, when there is a money is not there, funding is not there, sufficient funding is not there, and we cannot test it on the entire population when there is a life risk. Sir.
Sir,
No.
when
But
we
to
don't
determine
have
the
testing,
relationship
One by one,
between two data
one by
sets.
one by one.
Sir,
Shivani
sir.
first. Listen.
Sir.
Listen. Shivani first, Gautami, then Sunit, then Aliva, in that order.
Sir, it is an assumption which is tested to determine the relationship between two data sets.
Assumption क्यों लेंगे हम? कब लेंगे? What is the need and necessity? Gautami,
sir, when we don't accept something,
don't
Like-
expect something.
don't accept something. When we are when we go for the for to purchase a bike, we first go for the test drive. Like what we know what is the mileage of the bike. Is it
Okay.
true or not?
Okay. Sunit, Aliva, and Sarada, quick.
Yes, sir. So when time is a constant and population testing itself in destruction, then we go for hypothesis. For example, testing of missile.
टेस्टिंग क्यों करेंगे? कब करेंगे? वही तो
Sir,
क्वेश्चन.
sir, can I add some point?
एक मिनट आशीष रुक जा, तेरा बारी आएगा.
Sir, when we went for a testing of missile, you cannot test all the missile.
अरे क्यों जाएंगे? क्यों टेस्ट करेंगे?
Sir, for the relationship between the factors.
Okay, Sunit. Aliva,
Yes, sir. I was also going to say that when the testing can be destructive, we go for sampling
टेस्टिंग क्यों करेंगे? कब करेंगे?
to know a relation between the factors which determine.
आशीष, quick take.
When we will have limited resources. then-
अरे फिर वही, all of you are telling sample testing कब होगा? See, I'm taking over. Please permit me to say my views. I think Gautami and I don't know, remember, sorry, some of you were of course indirectly hinting at. Many times, human mind, inquisitive mind, we want to know something which we do not know. Many unknown population. ये करने से क्या होगा? इसका नतीजा क्या होगा? So many things, we have got many questions coming to our mind. Are girls better than boys in a particular job? Okay, so this type of questions, researchable questions, if comes, somebody was telling Gautami, and maybe you do not know. Company ने बोल दिया ये mileage this much 60 kilometer, and you don't accept. I think she was trying to tell that. That means you don't know. You don't believe means you also as good, as bad as you don't know. And you want to verify test. So that is the necessity background requirement of checking, testing, verifying. To me, checking, testing, verifying, experimenting, all the same synonyms to me. Listen to me. So we do that. That means what, Masoda? कौन देखो चले मोबाइल देखो चो तो मोबाइल टा देखा
No, sir, no, sir.
कौन कोई talk last sentence quote my last sentence सुनो नो खाइन बियाजी when we want to know something which is not known to us, what is the cause of COVID? Do we know? Earlier we are not knowing, we are guessing this could be the cause. So unanswered thing, unknown things we want to know. For that we need to have experimentation, we need to have survey, we need to have exploration. Under deep sea, kya hai? So like all of these things which you don't know. So when I say under deep sea, it's a huge vast area. Can we check each and every inch under a sea? So then comes sample testing. All of you are diverting yourself. Should we go for the entire population or should we sample? My first question was, what is the necessity of checking, testing, verifying, experimenting? What is the purpose of testing. So testing of hypothesis. Hypothesis means हमारा सोच, assumption. Say for example, when we are coming up with one question, are girls better? And we wanted to know, verify. So this सोच could be, हाँ बराबर तो हो सकते हैं. They could be equal. When you're telling in a statement form, not in a question form, that is called proposition, hypothesis, supposition. And that is our thinking, soch. That could be true or that could be false. We want to verify. For such verification, we go for testing of hypothesis. What Gautam was suggesting, that when we do not accept or do not know, we check, verify, test. So don't forget this, the basic concept, क्यों करते हैं ये? The next step is, कैसे करते हैं? And all of you wanted to answer that. Either you take a finite portion or check the entire lot if possible. Okay? Then you verify as per the need, as per your methodology. Right? So that you can do as per the situation. Right? Say for example, can we know in advance if at all this east coast of India is to face another cyclone, what would be the ferocity or the wind speed of cyclone? Is it possible to predict? Is it possible, Shivani? No, you are telling a diplomatic political statement, not exactly. Guess तो कर सकते हैं ना, ये तो लोग बता देते हैं ना कि
Yes, sir.
होने वाला है. ये जो सूचना है, ये ऐसे तो भ्रमित नहीं करते हैं ना, वो ठोस सबूत के साथ देते हैं. Are you getting my point? So they must be having some mathematical scientific calculation. Maybe a cyclone could be because of several parameters, functions, like say atmosphere pressure, maybe like pollution, whatnot. Okay. So when you are developing a model, your end result is cyclone speed, and you have found if this is dependent on several, say 3 factor, 4 factor, which we have covered, introduced during last session as multiple regression analysis. OE regression model leke, we use that for future prediction. Okay. So having understood that, in the process of attempt of making a prediction in the future, we actually study, जैसे बोला भास्कर ने, approximately. So that approximately is actually technically told, there could be some variation, but हो सकता है. High probability, 90% probability, 95% probability, we can assign some guarantee or confidence. हमारे पास भी वो कैलकुलेशन मेथोडोलॉजी है. बोल सकते हैं कि विंड स्पीड का इतना रेंज होगा एंड माय गारंटी इज 90%. इस टाइप का डिस्कशन किए थे, नहीं किए थे शारदा? Confidence limit, level of significance, those terms were part of our testing of hypothesis. Now coming to that approximate, so that variation actually is a cause of concern. Variation क्यों होता है, कितना होता है? So the detailed discussion study on variation is called analysis of variation or variance, and in short that is called ANOVA, which we are going to discuss today. Okay, so I thought I should request you all to recall what we had started in semester 1. We are continuing today. There's nothing new. Okay, now before I share the PPT which I had already circulated, please remember this ANOVA, we may not be asking in exam. Sorry, let me share the screen. Are you able to see a PPT? No.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Now, is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this PPT is already with you, and here you go. I got a very structured presentation. What I was saying, this will come most likely as objective question, theoretical question, and that will clarify our fundamental concept doubts. Okay, now listen to me, please participate. What do you understand by ANOVA, and thereby what is the necessity of applying, studying F test? So far, how many tests we have already discussed in semester 1? Sarada, Bhaskar?
3.
No test.
Test, Z
Test, Jade or last sample test, then
Chi-square test.
chi-square test. Okay, so now we'll be discussing something about F test. What I was just telling, like you had numerical sum from T test, you had numerical sum from Z test, you had numerical sum from chi-square test, you may not have numerical sum question from F test, but objective question should come and interpretation of F test result computer output should come. So this you should note it down and please remember. Now today, as I was just introducing, this new technique which we are going to introduce today is called ANOVA, and the full form is analysis of variance. And this is used to test if the sample averages or sample mean vary significantly. Now please remember and note it down this short objective answer where we apply ANOVA F test when we have a need to test more than 2 samples. If it is only 2 samples, then we'll be applying T test. If it is more than 2, we'll be applying F test and ANOVA. Please remember. Now, I can introduce ANOVA by giving some examples. कब कहाँ use कर सकते हैं? So for first example, suppose you are comparing different brands of engine oil or gasoline. Okay, how it helps achieving mileage of vehicles, bikes, or four-wheelers. Okay, so if you are comparing more than 2 brands, then ANOVA will be required. Kitna vary karta hai across the brands. So there we'll be applying this ANOVA or F test. Second example B, suppose a company organization has got different methods, techniques for training schedules. Which is more effective? How much they vary among themselves in those particular training packages? And the third, which I would request you, please remember, I'll be repeating this example in the coming slides. Suppose in one region, say Eastern India, there are many B schools and they are comparables. Let us take some B schools who are almost at par. It's not key like very, very low rank B school and very top rank B school. Say, for example, tier 2 B schools. And if you compare the placement scenario, how much CTC or package students of those B schools get, is it varying significantly or not? So that can be done by using ANOVA or F test. Santanu, I think I have already told the last line. Anybody who recalls that I have just now told the application of F test vis-a-vis application of T test. Now, referring to the third example, where we can apply t-test, where we can, or where we have to go for ANOVA or F-test, so on. What is my question? Soham Sen, question bol.
So,
कर क्या रहा है यार? Gautami, what is the question?
Sir, on the basis of third example, comparing the first year earning of graduates of different B school, we have to find where we find t-test, F-test, and ANOVA test.
Shreya, can you give it a try, or any volunteer raise your hand?
Yes, so the question was whether we will use the t-test or the f-test for comparing the means. But
Answer to try karna. Answer
yes,
try
sir. The
karna.
answer will be we'll be using f-test because we're comparing the first year earnings of the graduates. So it will be
Any other? Thanks, Shreya. Thanks, Shreya. Any other person would supplement to Shreya's answer? Sarada, quick. Sunit, quick. 30 seconds each. फटाफट बोलो.
Sir, this test we mainly do the comparisons.
Simple. सीधी सी बात. Sunit, sorry, beta. I'm not giving you chance just to save time. If you are comparing two B schools, go for t-test. If there are many B schools, go for F-test. Simple. Shreya, I was expecting that answer. वही तो बोले थे ना. t-test कब करेंगे, कैसे करेंगे, संबिता? Have you understood me, संबिता? और आज थोड़ा मैं इधर-उधर बोल रहा हूँ. I'm going faster on my normal speed.
No, sir, I understand. When we compare the need of two B schools, then we go for the t-test. As the number of schools increase, the number of B schools increase.
अरे वो तो हो गया संबिता. मेरा लास्ट क्वेश्चन था, अगर t-test करना है, कैसे करते हैं, कैसे करते थे सेमेस्टर 1 में?
We will took the hypothesis that the both news are same for the both B schools. Then we will go for the alternative hypothesis by saying that greater than or smaller than. Then we test the hypothesis whether it is right or wrong by using the t table.
कैलकुलेशन पार्ट, कंप्यूटेशन पार्ट में कैसे करेंगे, थोड़ा सोच के कोई बताएगा? संदिता, इज इट मेकिंग सेंस? और थोड़ा बाउंसर आज चल रहा है, बाउंसर बॉल चल रहा है आज?
Yes, sir.
यार
Sir, when the n is less than 30.
जोर से बोल, जोर से बोल.
Sir, when n is less than 30.
शिवानी क्या बोल रही है?
Sir, when the sample population is less than 30, then we will use test.
हाँ, वो तो है. No, actually, sorry, I think my question was not clear, संबिता. What you told is correct procedure. 4 steps बताई तूने. मैं क्या एक्सपेक्ट कर रहा था ना संदिता, अगर टी टेस्ट करना है, 2 भी स्कूल है, बच्चों का सीटीसी हमें मालूम होगा. स्टूडेंट नंबर 1 how much package he or she got, student number 2 how much he or she got, ये तो मिलेगा ना डाटा. So that is first column. Suppose XIM versus KSM. ठीक है, फर्स्ट कॉलम में रहेगा XIM, सेकंड कॉलम में रहेगा KSM. So the data, individual data are nothing but the CTC given to those respective students. अगर वो मिल जाता है, then we find their mean, respective mean and standard error. वही तो करते हैं ना शारदा? Remember or forgotten? ठीक है. Now here similar approach calculation वो discuss करेंगे. Now let's see the procedure जैसे संबिता ने बताई, similar. Here we have to have null hypothesis. Say for example, let us start with 3 groups. यही लिखेंगे नहीं लिखेंगे? Clear? संदिता, ऊंचू हूं कौन रे? कौन हो कि नहीं कौन?
Yes, sir.
Null hypothesis is always equal to. In simple t-test, what are the null hypothesis? Sandita, जल्दी बोलो ना, time save कर.
Sir, mean 1 equals to mean 2.
Very good, Sandita. So the Satata salute. Thank you. Good. Similarly, if you have got 4 samples, mu1 equals to mu2 equals to mu3 equals to mu4. Okay. Santanu, what will be alternative hypothesis here? जल्दी बताओ, फटाफट बोलो.
Sir, mu1 is less than equal to.
अरे not equal बोल दो ना, they are not equal. Okay, then what we'll be doing, please remember, we started today taking the clue from Bhaskar's example, थोड़ा approximately होगा, and I supplemented Bhaskar's input that we'll be checking the variation, कितना होता है, क्यों होता है. So in ANOVA, all of you please remember, थोड़ा short sentence में आप note लिख लो. Here we'll be checking, testing, computing only variance. And here you'll have two type of variance. One, inter, another is intra. Itisri, can you simplify if you have understood? Intervariance क्या हो सकता है, intervariance क्या हो सकता है? And refer to that example. Which example we are discussing, Gautami?
Yes, sir, it's a difference between inter and intra.
Which example we are discussing? तो
Sir,
सुन.
Bhaskar's
अरे यार, B-School package थोड़ा सा तार
Yes, sir,
example.
B-School package. Yes, sir.
Relate
Different
that
B-School package.
to this and try to anyone can explain. अभी बोल रहे intervariance.
Sir, inter means how the salary CTC is different between two different schools, and intra means different between two students of same school but different students, sir. That is intra, and inter is the opposite, sir.
भास्कर, जो अभिक ने बोला जापानीज यूक्रेन लैंग्वेज में, कुछ समझ में आया भास्कर तेरे को? बोल, कोट ही सेंटेंस अभिक जो बोला. अरे यार, अलीबा.
Intra means within the school, and inter variance means among the schools.
Maheshwata, simplify कर.
So, for example, if we compare the salaries of XUB and KSOM, that will be inter. If only of KSOM students, then it will be intra.
भास्कर, तू सुन रहा है, पोएट्री लिख रहा है भास्कर. माहेश्वता ने क्या बोली? क्या कर रहा है? तो यूक्रेन मिशन में अभी बिजी है क्या? आशीष पाइकरा?
Sir,
कौन खाऊची कर बसिकरी?
nine is count.
So explain relating to that example, B-School package.
Sir, B-School package. Sir, B-School intervariation is the basically we compare the
Suppose
two
in
different.
Eastern India, you have taken say 7 B-Schools. Among B-School, can I call it intervariation?
Yes, sir. Intervariation.
And within the same B-School, one B-School, each B-School, what Maheshwata is telling, is it intra? Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
These two terms is very critical, important, and objective question, Baba. Point. All of you note. Is that now clear? That's why I'm repeating, taking much time. So here you have to check, test, compute two variances. What are the two variances, Samhita?
Inter and intravariance.
Intervariance I will be finding. Difficult question, out of syllabus question. Maheshwata?
Can you repeat question?
I will not repeat. Maheshwata, go.
So, intervariance is within the sample itself, like the variance that we get.
How will be finding it? Itisri?
Mean package of B-School 1 and mean package.
That's सुन रहे. Intravariance can we compute? ना कोई वो सुबह सर पढ़े ना दे. What is meaning of variance?
Sir, the difference basically between.
तेरा माथा difference. अगर physical model में हमारे दो थापड़ मिलता तुझे. Who was your QT teacher in semester 1?
You,
stupid teacher. How we have computed variance?
Standard deviation square.
HD square, sir. HD square.
Sigma square.
Sigma square, sir.
With your teacher.
So sigma square.
कैसे कैलकुलेट करते हैं आशीष?
So sigma square.
सोचा करी कि आशी एमबी पढ़ू जो बुढ़ा टाइम करी तो कोई बोलना. How will be finding variance? Simple question.
So we'll calculate and then compare it with the table value that is.
One column data will be given. I am asking very simple question. Intra means suppose KSM students packages. Suppose in your batch 300 sat for placement. How many data, how many observation you will get, Samhita?
300.
300. What is first observation, first data?
Student one's
Roll number 1, how much he or she got package? अरे ठीक है, ground reality का आओ ना. All of you are flying. Put your feet on ground. Once you got that data 300, अब बोलो कैसे, how will be finding variance?
So we can calculate the mean and then we can see the deviation.
Wow. Simran is alone listening to this stupid Subudhi and others are not listening to me. Maheshwata, difficult question or easy question, right?
Yes, so we can do it by finding the mean.
ठीक है, तो गालू मर्ची कौन? पेन, डिजिटल पेन अच्छी, share screen. Maheshwata, share screen.
Sir, I don't have pen, but I can share screen.
You do something, maybe like paint, whatever, you do that. I'm serious, Maheshwata, you shared paint or whatever, or else I'll be deducting -7 today. Bhaskar, note कर ले रहे, Maheshwata का रोल में. Share screen. बताए ये कैसे ड्रा करेगी? अब लाइक टॉप लेफ्ट मार्जिन से 5, 7, 10. वेरी गुड. नीचे रे कॉलम वाइज द्वितीय क्लास रो सिलेट धरिकी पढुछु बे. Very good. Now these three numbers, how will be finding variance? Bol. Either you ask your papa or you ask your grandfather. Somebody was telling will be finding mean. Aliba, what will be next column?
So we will find the mean, then we will difference the x1 minus xi minus x.
Sudha beta, have you forgotten? ये vertical line खींच रहे. X minus x bar.
X minus x bar.
Then x minus x bar square. None of you are helping your teacher. Okay, stop sharing. Anybody has understood what I am asking, expecting Shivani? Sarada? बुझिलु रे ना बुझिलु नहीं? Bouncer रहेगा.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, Sarada, explain how to compute intravariance. If you have understood, tell lucidly, clearly to your friends.
So first we will find the total mean.
You got one column data.
Yes,
First you find X bar.
Yes.
Anyone who can tell me fatafat, what is the formula for variance?
Sir,
formula is summation of x square divided by x
n minus 1.
अभी बता रही है संविता. Is it difficult question, beta, or easy question? बोल तो. So now try to understand what I am telling is not hi-fi. वही simple semester 1 वाला. Okay. So intravariance, similarly we will find an intravariance. Intervariance में थोड़ा सा tougher question है, but I am pretty sure some of you are really very brilliant students. How many of you have understood how to compute? अगर हमें question मिलता है, मैं नहीं दूंगा. Intravariance we can find for each B school. How many of you have understood? Raise your hand. How many of you have understood? Raise your hand. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Remove hand symbol. Now moving to the other variance. What is the other variance, Itisri? Inter. Though it is tougher, can somebody think? Give a try. I know that many of you may not be able to answer. Just socho re. It's a PG class, yeah. It's not intermediate class. Samhita, do we have means of each B school? हमें मिलेगा नहीं मिलेगा?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Suppose 11 B schools हैं ईस्टर्न इंडिया में, 11 एवरेजेस मिलेंगे नहीं मिलेंगे?
Yes, sir.
उसको नीचे एक एक करके लिखो कॉलम वाइज होगा and take them as independent data. Maheshwata, are you getting me, dear? So all the sample mean you write in one column and you take the average of those averages. Sunit, Aliba, are you getting it?
Yes, sir.
Then you find the variance. What is that called, Aliba?
Sir, intervariance.
All of you are not clear? So this way we can check the variation through two variances. What are the two variances, Soham Sam? Inter and intra.
Intra.
Okay, Avik, सोहम को देख रहे हो सो रहा है या जाग रहा है? Okay, then we'll be naming it as sigma 1 square, sigma 2 square, please remember. And the steps are: first, find the between samples means what, Avik?
Sir,
Variance between samples means?
sir, inter and inter.
Inter. Then find within. Within means intra. Okay.
Intra, sir.
So between and within, they are the synonyms of inter, intra. Please remember. Okay. Then you take the ratio. Now this is what we have already used in semester 1. Sigma by root n. This formula you have already used. Now when you have got so many samples, then K is the number of B schools. What is K? Number of B schools. What is N? Total sample. Okay. So now I'll be just making it simple. So this ratio of two variances. What are the two variances? Intervariance and intravariance. दोनों को divide करो. That ratio is nothing but F. F1. Simple, go to me. If you can write a short sentence, if a question comes, what is F statistics, F formula? You write ratio of two variances, intervariance by intravariance. Simple. Or at least you can write like this, sigma 1 square by sigma 2 square. Easy to remember, Sarda? Okay. So don't get confused. Very simple. Sandita?
Yes, sir.
Is it okay now? So this much at least you can remember and write. Okay. Now, like the other test means t test, chi-square test, j test, what we have done. Here also, if it comes in exam to do it manually, it will not come. I have already clarified today morning. If it comes, same way, you compute the value. Jo F milega, what will be calling that, Shivani? Are we in the same planet or you are not getting me?
Yes, sir, I'm getting.
Anybody who can like?
Calculated.
Very good. Who told it is Trustee? Thank you. It is calculated value. And what we usually do with calculated value, Aliva?
Compare with the
Compare it with the
Very
tabular
good.
value.
Very good. Please don't forget, same process. This is how we find calculated value. And like T table, like chi-square table, we also have F table. F table mein milega tabulated value. We have to compare with the tabulated value. So what is the usual decision process? Go to me. कैसे किए थे semester 1 में? If calculated value is less than tabulated value, then
So we accept the hypothesis.
accept the null hypothesis.
Yes.
Otherwise, reject it. Same process. But the only difference of F table, please note it down, than T and chi-square, here you have two types of degrees of freedom. T table में one type of degrees of freedom था. Chi-square table में only one type of degrees of freedom था. Here you will have two type of degrees of freedom. But don't worry, we are not computing manually. We'll be using software, and in exam you'll be given the computer output. But you remember this much, that F is nothing but variance ratio between by within, inter by intra. Okay, all of you remember this. Now I would just ask you to just wait for few minutes. I'll be introducing the concept of one-way ANOVA and two-way ANOVA. Later I will distinguish between what is the difference between one-way and two-way. And you can solve data using Excel, which I have already done, or by using SPSS, which you will be doing later. Okay, and the command I will just be showing. The PPT I have already circulated, and you can do it yourself as a self-learning. Okay, now this is the command. Hope we have already done data analysis in Excel, and there is a command ANOVA single factor. Please remember. Okay, then please see, this is the data we have entered. Maheshwata, are you able to see why the columns have different number of data in a case? Always relate to the third example. Third example means B
So
square.
it's a number of students is not taken into account.
Student strength. Suppose XIM may be having 400 students or 200 students, we don't know. Okay, so don't expect it will be equal sample size. Okay, please remember this. Now, once you enter, and this is the menu of data analysis. This is what you can see. PPT is already with you, and once you enter input cell, I think we have done. Press OK. So this you can self-learn. Don't worry. We'll be doing it in SPSS. अब एक इस टाइप का आउटपुट हमने किए थे, मिला था कभी?
Yes sir, last class में किए थे ना?
हाँ. So what I am going to tell you, जो ANOVA F test हमने कर चुके हैं, इसका theoretical background हमने डिस्कस नहीं किए थे. So it is nothing new, Chandita. Okay. So in this output table, Chandita, what are the main elements, values which are relatively more important to us? एक एक करके बोल. हम क्या देखते हैं? Sorry.
Sir, P value.
P value तो बहुत सारे हैं. Which P value? बहुत सारे हैं नहीं, बहुत में.
तो सर एक ही है.
No, sir, एक है.
तो क्लास अटेंड की थी या नहीं की? अरे कंप्यूटर आउटपुट में डू यू हैव मोर देन वन पी वैल्यू श्रेया?
Yes sir.
Yes sir, ANOVA वाला है ना?
अरे गौतमी, Chandita, why you are forgetting?
सर इसमें तो
आप
बट
बोलो,
P वैल्यू एक ही है
अरे
ना.
आप बोलो मेन पी वैल्यू और इंडिविजुअल पी वैल्यू. इंडिविजुअल पी वैल्यू है या नहीं?
Yes sir है.
Yes sir है.
Yes,
हाँ,
sir.
तो बोल ना. मैंने बोला एक पी वैल्यू, बहुत सारे पी वैल्यूज हैं. ठीक है. और इसके आगे संबिता, जल्दी बोल, टाइम सेव कर. संबिता भाग गई. अलीबा, I think Sambita had some network issue. Take over, फटाफट बोल. What are the
Yes,
other
sir.
important points?
Sir, coefficients, we take the coefficients.
And
Then
R
R
square.
square.
R square value.
So all those things you have to note it down. We have already interpreted. Now, moving ahead, the same thing you can do it in SPSS, which we will be doing very soon. And the output we'll be discussing today, we had also discussed. Now, this will be discussing in bit detail. All of you have seen. এই ପିଲାମାନଙ୍କୁ just କହୁଥିଲି SPSS ଟା ତାଙ୍କର demo ହେଇପାରୁନି ତ ଆମେ ଟିକେ କେବେ କରିପାରିବା next week ଆଡକୁ
ହେଇଗଲାଣି ସର୍ଭରଟା ରେଡି
भास्कर तो सुन रहा है रे
टेस्ट कर दियंतु आपण लैपटॉप रे
हमारा जो सिस्टम के इंचार्ज हैं वो मेरे सामने खड़े हैं ही इज हेल्पिंग अस वो हो जाएगा आप लोग को एनी डेस्क ना एनी डेस्क मिलेगा so you can coordinate with me and I will be requesting him it will be done so next week thank you so you have met virtually and submit Subrotam sir whenever you will be coming to campus.
Good morning, sir.
Best friend of yours.
Good morning, sir.
You just try to come and take his help. He's the most friendly person and he's our system in charge. He will be sending you all any desk nothing. So all your lappy doctor. Okay. Thank you. We'll arrange it. Okay. Thank you. Samhita, what I was telling? Yes. Now, in this case, hope you don't forget, this is something a regression model, multiple regression. Avik, दिख रहा नहीं दिख रहा?
हाँ सर।
सर
हाँ बोलो।
y के ऊपर y equals to a plus b1 x1 बोलना चाहिए ना y के ऊपर वो बार
हाँ वो छाता क्यों है बारिश होने वाला है ना इसलिए मैंने छाता डाल दिया सुनो अभी वही तो डिस्कस करेंगे ये छाता क्यों है वही डिस्कस करेंगे रुक जा सो अभी ये जो है आई थिंक सिंपल बाइवेरिएट रिग्रेशन के आगे हमें ये नॉन लीनियर रिग्रेशन डिस्कस किए थे हाँ ना अभी
हाँ सर
मोस्ट ओबीडिएंट स्टूडेंट ऑफ माइन
सर मल्टीवेरिएट की बात कर रहे थे ना बाइवेरिएट के बाद
I wanted to confuse you, got confused. मैंने बोला ये नॉन लीनियर है तो हाँ सर
लीनियर है
सर बोल रहे तो हाँ होगा it is not non-linear it is linear multiple regression no confusion of it okay now coming to this y cap earlier we had discussed and given simply just for simplicity u and today we are using y cap concept this is important all of you must learn before you join any consulting company after your MBA degree okay so जो हमने शुरू किए थे simple is like this when you extend this we had discussed a b1 x1 b2 x2 two variables and y is called what Samhita Sarada
Dependent variable
or criterion variable these are called what
independent variable or predictors.
Predictors. So why you are using predictors name क्यों करते हैं because you predict okay you estimate so don't forget these terms Samhita you are there
yes sir.
so is it actual value or a prediction or estimation
estimation sir
prediction
yes.
Prediction.
Just to remind you it is not actual value जैसे मैंने बोला you are predicting next month में if you are forecasting predicting amount of rainfall next week में कितना rainfall होगा इस टाइप का prediction होता है नहीं होता है so you have to better tell कि this is my estimate this is cap estimate this is not y now can you guess and tell what is y and what should be y
actual value y
you have to wait till next week को observe करो बारिश के बाद you measure it and how much it rained the actual amount of rainfall which would happen is y Sunit, I'm making sense? What is the difference between y and y cap?
So y cap is the estimation and y is the actual value after observation.
Are you going to get y value or not? ये मिलेगा हमें नहीं मिलेगा?
Yes, sir. After the observation, we can.
This you get early, this you get later.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, what do you expect? What should be the relation between these two? What is ideal? Is anybody able to read my mind? What is the actual question?
So there may be some little bit of variation.
What I was expecting from you, we have to estimate in such a way that it should be very close to this.
So we can say it may be a positive relation also.
नहीं, पॉजिटिव होगा नेगेटिव होगा ये हमारे हाथ में नहीं है, बस में नहीं है. जो भी हो, what you are telling and what is going to happen, अगर मैच कर रहा है तब ही दुनिया they will praise you. हाँ, गौतमी का मॉडल ठीक है, सही है. If you remember Phylline cyclone, I don't know whether you remember what we discussed in the last semester. Many agencies, meteorological departments had made predictions starting from US Navy, Japanese Meteorological Department and Indian Meteorological Department. You'll be happy, maybe I had already mentioned, Indian Meteorological Department prediction estimation was most correct. Prediction was most correct means what I'm indirectly trying to cover in that. Any volunteer?
So y cap is very close to y.
नहीं, वो तो है और कुछ.
So the variance between the actual and the estimation is very low, sir.
अरे वो तो वही अलीवा बोल रही थी. Samita, you are also telling that. Those scientists, those who develop a model, अब थोड़ा सोचा करो यार. It is not the same equation. जो predictor उन्होंने लिए हैं, somebody else, other agency might have taken other factors. Are you getting a point? उनको लगा कि atmospheric pressure is most important. वहां they might have given more weightage. Japanese scientists को लगा कि भाई नहीं ये other factor is most important. They might have given more weightage there. उस हिसाब से vary कर रहा है ना. So they are not having the same equation. समझा करो. So the factors they have identified might have varied. Weights they have given might have varied. So that's why the prediction was varied. Okay. So you have to derive the equation in such a way so that your prediction should be very, very close to this. And y minus y cap should be very, very close to 0 or tending to 0, which we call as epsilon, or sometimes somebody is called delta. Very negligible. And this is error component. Samita, now you have come to know about that chhata?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So this is important for us. What I was just telling, so this should be minimum. This is what we have explained. Clear? Y minus y cap. And
सर फिर तो हमेशा ही y के ऊपर हम लोग जब बचपन में लिखते उसके ऊपर तो कैप होना चाहिए क्योंकि वो तो हमेशा ही वो डिपेंडेंट था.
Just for convenience, we were telling this कि इस टाइप का इक्वेशन है जो आप खोज रहे हो, ढूंढ रहे हो, ये यही है. ओके, वही बोल रहे हो. ठीक है. And we had derived these coefficients by least square method. You remember that I have already told normal equation least square method. Now this is, we are telling that the sum total of square deviation will be 0 or the minimum. Okay, so this is the concept. Just remember this, and this is the formula to have standard error of estimate. This one I was asking Aliva if you can find कि standard error कैसे compute करते हैं. Levin's book. I was searching for that. Now, can anybody tell what is K? Guess करके बता सकते हैं वो? संविता.
Number of school के लिए number of preschools.
Very good. Number of samples in general, and in that last example, number of B-school, and N is the sample size. Please remember this. Okay. So 2 degrees of freedom will be there. N minus 1 total के लिए, K minus 1 number of samples के लिए. Please remember. So that is what 2 type of degrees of freedom. Okay. Now these are the explanation. Why है क्या? And please remember this is something like this is Y cap. Second one is Y cap. Okay. Fine. Now this is important and this should come in exam. अगर हमें कंप्यूटर आउटपुट रिजल्ट मिला जो हमने शो किए थे, how to interpret this? Now let us recall again. What was R square? What was its role importance? And how it is different from capital R square? I'll ask randomly, no prompting. Aritra Adhikari, you are listening to me? Aritra Adhikari and Rishabh Jain.
Yes, sir.
Aritra, you are absent. Aditi Bhadani, you joined now or you got disconnected? Itisri madam, Parida madam, namaskar. Pakad khai chalu ne?
Yes, sir.
What is the question? Soitilu na kambala padai kari?
Sir, na sir, sir, मेरा laptop रो charge हो जाए तो वो disconnect ही जाए पे outer connect है ले.
बढ़िया करो. से example online exam भी जैसे का. Copy paste कर दे सभी के लिए same SQ. Maybe 0 copy paste to all. Sneha Singh.
Proof अच्छे मोटे को दिलिया के copy paste कर पर बनी मो reason.
Sneha Singh.
Yes, sir.
क्वेश्चन क्या था? बढ़िया मैं बढ़िया हूँ. For that only you have opted for online education. सब गुड़ाको ठक्को गुड़ाको. इतिश्री परिडा संदिता. Why you have not opted for physical mode? Laptop नहीं, हमको नहीं. Network issue. What is question, Sarada?
Sir, R square.
अभी बोलो. तीसरी
Sir,
परिडा.
coefficient of determination.
So what is the meaning? अरे कोई तो बोलो, टाइम सेव करो रे.
Sir, capital R square is the counterpart of small r square. And
वो है क्या तो बोलो.
so coefficient of determination.
Sir, small r square is to depend on the individual independent factors, and r square is the summation of all the independent factors.
वो क्यों स्टडी करते हैं? क्यों? What is the role? अरे वो तो बोलो. इसलिए परिडा मैडम क्वेश्चन समझ रहा रे.
Sir, am I audible, sir?
हाँ बोलो ना.
Sir, to predict.
No. You will get -2. Second share कौन है? Second share कौन है? इतिश्री परिडा ये CR भास्कर का रोल नंबर नोट कर. -2 डाल.
Yes, sir.
ऐश्वर्या. अरे R is coefficient correlation. R square हम डिस्कस कर रहे हैं. Have we not discussed, Samvita madam? R square coefficient determination tells कि वो प्रेडिक्टर का कंट्रीब्यूशन कितना है. हमने एग्जांपल दिए थे नहीं दिए थे? फादर साइड सन साइड. इफ दे आर स्ट्रांगली रिलेटेड, फादर के बजाय से सन का जो हाइट वेरी करता है, हाउ मच. सो द वर्ड हाउ मच शुड हैव कम टू यू. The amount contribution is determined by R square.
Yes.
Similarly, R square, Alibai should have told, all predictors taken together, सभी का मिला के, कुल मिला के, how much is the contribution that we find from capital R2. You should be having clear, confident answer. Okay, Haritra. Now please remember, in ANOVA table, we'll be finding variance from first sum of square. And in short, we'll be calling SS, sum of square. Sum of square will have three types: total sum of square, regression sum of square, and error. That epsilon bala, what I told, y minus y cap. You remember this? Y minus y cap. Okay? And this total sum of square is ये दोनों का लास्ट दोनों का टोटल है. Please remember this. Now I'll be just taking you to a table here. Now all of you, this we have already done. All of you, please note. I just told from sum of square we get mean sum of square. This mean sum of square is nothing but variance. Okay. Any guess, Avik, how will we getting mean sum of square from sum of square? Any guess? Any volunteer? Jaldi karo. Try to save time. Anyone? Koi nahi? So sum of square divided by degrees of freedom. ये जो degrees of freedom column है, if you divide here, 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 then you get this. Okay. So how the computer calculates, we need to know. As MBA student, though we are not computing ourselves, you need to know computer कैसे कर रहा है. Anyone volunteer? Can anybody tell ये F कैसे calculate computer किया था? अरे यार क्या हो रहा है यार सेक्शन सी का?
Sigma 1 square divided by sigma 2 square.
अरे वही तो बोले थे संबिता, संबिता, गौतमी, अभिक, अभिक, सुनीत, सुनीत, शिवानी, स्वारव. अरे F value is between sigma 1 square by sigma 2 square बोले थे नहीं बोले थे?
Yes, sir.
हाँ ये दोनों वैल्यू का तो ये होगा ना, गेस करके बोलो. फर्स्ट बाई दिस सेकेंड. अरे संबिता इज a difficult question. F is what? अलीबा?
Sigma
1 square by sigma 2 square ना?
Sir.
भूल जाते हो क्या?
26.453.
So this divided by this is this. Is that clear? So this output we had discussed, not with that detail. Now this is how we should understand. Okay. And similarly, the another output also you can check it. And this output, how we discussed in the class? किए थे क्या? भास्कर, तू तो नहीं था, सो रहा था भास्कर.
Yes, sir. We have discussed.
What is the question number? Anyone?
14.40.
Yes. Only Shreya is sincere. बाकी सब not sincere. ऐसे कैसे भूल जाते हो? 13.40 डिस्कस किए थे नहीं किए थे सबिता?
Yes.
MBA मागना पड़चू ना पैसा दे पड़चू? Last class also you are forgetting. Santanu Mishra, from this output, what we have to note carefully, what are important values for us?
Sir, R square value.
Very good. Then, Avik, what next? then Sunit, then Aliva in that order.
So F value, sir.
So the coefficients value.
Coefficient value, sir.
Coefficient value.
P value of the
Which
factors.
P value?
So
Main
the
P value.
Main P value,
Main
sir.
P value. And then individual P value. Okay. Now please see, here you got 2 degrees of freedom. And what is the role of total degrees of freedom? Any volunteer who can tell?
Sir, we can get the value of n.
N.
Very good. If you get a question, what is the sample size or total data points you have taken? So you look here and that will help you to tell what was the sample size. Okay, Bhaskar, what is the sample size for this? For example, out of syllabus question. Exam में ये लिख के आ जाना.
25.
25, sir.
25.
अरे भास्कर बाकी लोगों को तो कम से कम सुन रहे. This is n minus 1. So this implies n will be 25. ये बाकी लोग बोल रहे हैं except Bhaskar. Aritra, is it clear? Thank you for telling
Yes,
the
sir.
correct answer. Okay. This was the question. I think this is important. This is again important, and this also important. Okay. And this coefficient will be used to find the regression equation like this. ये सब discuss किए थे. Okay. If you are forgetting, then I'm sorry. This was from 13.40, and I'll be just briefly telling you what is the difference between one-way and two-way. And listen to me carefully, then you can ask me question. One way, you have got one major factor. Two way, you have got two major factors. Factors are not telling variables. Suppose, example is, from the field of athletics. Suppose again hypothesis, सोच, ऐसे सोच सकते हैं कि भाई ब्रांडेड शूज पहनने से कुछ फायदा मिलता है. If it is comfortable shoe, is it adding to the efficiency of the sprinter, runners, athletes? So here, what is the major factor we are trying to explore, study, check, Sarada? Branded shoes. This is the factor issue. And brands could be many. Okay, brands could be many. But the factor is one. Okay, so this will be one way. Now, example 2, B schools. Is the brand of the school fetching, getting, attracting recruiters? So one thing we are discussing. Now two-way, suppose you are also considering not only the brand, should you also not think of the age of the runner? Age factor, if you are considering again, you are thinking of two issues, two factors. So that will be two-way ANOVA. Example 2, which I have noted in red. Not only image of school, placement, will it not depend on the specialization? Marketing में demand ज़्यादा है, market में, than HR, than finance. If you think that, should we also discuss that? If you are adding one more factor, area of specialization, then you are dealing with two-way ANOVA. What I have explained, just take it lightly, please. If you can write in your own word a simple note, taking these two examples. What is one-way ANOVA? What is two-way ANOVA? And what is the difference between them? Samhita Panigrahi, please help me in your own word, whatever you have understood. Can you please help us just summarize what is the difference between one way and two way? Give a try. Give a try.
In one way ANOVA, we are taking a single factor, like the brand name, different brand having the shoes, and we are not categorizing them in any other factor. Only the shoes are the category. But in two way, if I consider,
Repeat your last sentence.
so if we consider,
हाँ बोल डर मत आराम से बोल. Exactly the last word you told. I think I heard you something wrong. No. फिर से बोल. I want to correct you. हाँ. Don't feel scared. Okay. फिर से बोल. Try कर.
I think I said shoe brand without considering the other categories like.
Did you tell two brands?
No, sir.
Tell again. What is the difference between the two?
No, sir. In two-way ANOVA, if we considering the one category with another category, like the brand shoes,
What is that word?
one category with another category.
Oh, category you are telling. Okay. I just told factor, you told category. Okay. Very good. All of you are clear?
Quality of the shoes and the age group were different age groups were using for the particular shoes category. Then it is two-way.
All of you are clear? Avik, happy? Not happy?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So this much you remember the difference between the two, right? And last line, which you have already discussed in my first slide, I'm repeating it. If you are comparing two brands, if you are comparing only two B schools, which test we should go for, Sandita?
T test.
If it is more than two, then we go for ANOVA F test. Okay, just note the last sentence. To sum up today's class, whatever we have discussed, 2-3 objective theory questions you may expect, and computer output interpretation you may get from this topic concept. Okay, hope I have clarified. Any question? Any question?
Sir, you told that when we have two groups, then we go for t-test. Then and when we have more than two groups, we go for ANOVA test. But in the factors which you said, there are two major factor. We take the ANOVA test. Means
ANOVA, LEVA. We've got different types of ANOVA. One way, two way. Again, we'll have got three way. So this is not part of MBA syllabus. What we have introduced today is the concept of ANOVA. ANOVA hai kya? Okay, I think I have told you, presented you, ANOVA is when you are dealing with more than two cases, two examples, two brands, then we have to go for F test, which we also deal with ANOVA. Am I answering you?
yes, sir.
Okay, any other question? Okay, thank you. We can discuss if you have, yeah, please.
Sir, वो regression वाला जो SPSS का can use.
Of course.
Yes, sir. इसमें एक चीज समझ में F का सर sigma 1 square upon sigma 2
All of you
square.
listen to Gautami.
सर वो कैसे आया था?
हाँ, anybody who got Gautami's question?
सर उस question में आप question.
All of your friends have also got. I hope Sambita, Shivani, Sriya, you must have heard. Shivani has volunteered. You just tell the point question raised by Gautami, then you answer for the benefit of others. Thanks, Shivani.
सर she asked
Speak louder. थोड़ा microphone पास है.
सर वो पूछी कि वो F कैसा आया तो वो sigma 1 by sigma 2 मतलब वो जो क्वेश्चन में
नहीं not sigma 1, sigma 1 square by sigma
1 हाँ sigma 1 square by sigma 2 square गौतमी वो क्वेश्चन में sum of square भी था और mean of sum of square था. mean of sum of square में दो चीजें थे, एक मतलब दो वैल्यूज थे, तो आप जब value 1 और value 2 को डिवाइड करोगे तो तुमको F का वैल्यू मिल जाएगा.
Gautami, hope she has really.
सर वो समझ में आ गया था, बस उस क्वेश्चन में वो कहाँ पर था, मीन्स वो ठीक से क्वेश्चन देखा नहीं था सर, मैं बाद में कर लूंगी सर।
No. Let me share. Don't worry. Don't leave me. Okay. Let me take you to the previous slide, I think. Oh. ए को ए है ना, बोल।
यस सर। सर
हाँ,
इसमें एफ का हम सिग्मा 1 स्क्वायर डिवाइडेड बाय सिग्मा 2 स्क्वायर सर हम कर रहे हैं इसमें। सर ये
बोल ना।
जो इसका मेन होता है जिससे रेशियो ऑफ टू वेरिएंस एंटर बाय इंट्रा, तो इसको तो हम ये मानेंगे सिग्मा 1 स्क्वायर और डिवाइडेड।
हाँ, ये सिग्मा 1 स्क्वायर, ये सिग्मा 2 स्क्वायर ना।
यस सर।
हाँ।
तो इसमें सर सिग्मा 1 स्क्वायर कहाँ पर होगा सर? SS by DF।
I think why she is not clear. Sabita, I think you are a better teacher than me. Sabita, can you address Gautami if you have understood her? Shreya then. Shreya.
So the value he asking is MS, I guess. MS equals to the variance.
Sabita, have you got the doubt of Gautami? Why she is having doubt?
She's asking now where we have the sigma 1 square and sigma 2 square.
Yes.
अरे गौतमी, MS मतलब variance.
Yes sir.
Question क्या था? Even also I am not getting your question.
सर सिग्मा 1 स्क्वायर यहाँ पर कहाँ है और सिग्मा 2 स्क्वायर कहाँ है?
अरे यही ना हम दिखा रहे हैं ना ये।
सर ये दोनों तो फिर वो कैलकुलेट करके आया ना।
हाँ, कैलकुलेट करके तो मिलेगा ना बेटा। I think maybe like my fault mistake. I'm not getting her question. Sarada, have you understood her doubt? Let us help her. Let's all help her.
I can help her. So that,
No, please. Have you understood her doubt?
Yes, sir. She want to ask that where is the sigma 1 square and sigma 2 square. But the thing is that here the 262.70 is the sigma 1 square. And that is mean sum of square is determined as variance. That is sigma square. So it is sigma 1 square only. And second value is sigma 2 square. First value is sigma 1 square.
Gautami, if you are not happy, if you are not understood, don't leave
No
us.
sir, understand. No sir, no sir, no sir.
It's okay?
I got it. Yes sir, yes sir.
Okay, now let's briefly discuss about your QT project. Hope you have got my message. And anybody having any individual issue or doubt or query, please ask me. I request you all to please work sincerely. जैसे हमने semester 1 में किए थे. Let us not keep it pending or hanging till end. आप सभी को मेरा suggestion है कि please work and submit it timely. नहीं तो बाकी टीचर्स जो है ना वो they will be overloading you and unnecessarily खामोखा you will be getting pressure. So that's why start early, finish early. Any question, any doubt, or else we'll stop here. Bhaskar, grouping हो गया रे?
Sir, can you please again tell us what exactly we do as a choose as a subject? So what should be the objectives of the project, sir?
It is similar to semester 1. You take a topic where you are getting easily some data. Some data means sufficient data. Primary data ho, secondary data ho, कोई problem नहीं. But you have to get sufficient data means many tables. उसको लेके देखो, discuss करो. How we can analyze, how we can interpret. थोड़ा meaningful interpretation निकालो. So there the only challenge, only expectation what I am expecting, आपको सोचना पड़ेगा कि यहाँ क्या अप्लाई करूं, क्यों करूं. That thinking should come. The objective of project is data तो है, उसको कैसे analyze करें. We have got so many formula, so many technique. Which one we should apply and why should I apply? Okay, so आप topic decide करो. डाटा लो, थोड़ा सोचो, डिस्कस करो, then if you got doubt, then you refer me. At that time, it will be.
Yes, but sir, how it should be defined from semester 1 project, sir?
मैंने similar बोला ना, and initially day 1 में मैंने बोला, if you can get some good data, real life data, that will be better. That is one difference. And the second feature is, this time we are not having presentation PPT, but we are making it compulsory. You have to add the similarity plagiarism report. You have to send your report to library, and you have to check what is the percentage of similarity. Copy paste nahi chahiye. I'm warning you in advance. I'll again check myself. Librarian email hai re, Bhaskar. Very good. Thank you. That's a very positive answer. Thanks, madam. So you have to send the report, and they will using it. We have got a software called Turnitin. उसमें डाल के वो देखेंगे कितना कॉपी है, कहाँ से लिया, सब पता चलेगा. Okay. And the similarity we tolerate up to 12-15%. Okay, वो चलेगा, उससे ज्यादा नहीं. टोटल कॉपी पेस्ट जो है सारे ग्रुप मेंबर को 0 ही मिलेगा. आई एम जस्ट टेलिंग यू because there is no presentation, you cannot know कि कैसे valuation रहा. So I am telling you well in advance, अगर copy paste है तो mark नहीं मिलेगा. Okay, this is my submission. Okay, thank you. Bye bye.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.